Today, we are diving into the Daily Stoic. We're going to look at it as an ancient operating system, a kind of upgrade for the modern mind. And trust me, this isn't just some dusty old philosophy. It's a super practical toolkit for finding calm right in the middle of all the chaos.
Does this sound familiar to you? You know that constant feeling of being pulled in a million different directions, completely overwhelmed by things you just can't control? It's like the background noise of modern life, isn't it? Well, what if I told you there was a way to cut those strings?
That path to cutting the strings? It's Stoicism. And look, forget what you might think about stuffy old books. As the philosopher Seneca put it, this is not some academic exercise. It's about finding real freedom. It's about learning how to truly live.
So the Daily Stoic basically organizes this whole philosophy into three core disciplines. A good way to think of them is like three essential tools for building a more resilient, more peaceful life. So let's dive in.
All right, our first tool is the discipline of perception. This one is all about mastering your internal world. The core idea? It's actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. We can't always change what happens to us, but we can always change how we think about it, how we respond to it.
And this right here, this is the absolute cornerstone of the entire philosophy, the circle of control. It's a simple but really profound idea. You just separate everything in your life into two basic categories, things you can control and, well, things you can't.
And what this shows so clearly is just how radically simple Stoicism is. See, the Stoics argue there's really only one thing you truly have control over: your mind. That means your choices, your judgments, your reactions. Everything else, from a surprise traffic jam to what someone else thinks about you, is external. The whole goal is to pour all of your energy into the one area you can actually command.
So, here's the crucial point. When we focus on what we control, we stop being those puppets just reacting to every little external tug. It's our inner awareness, our reasoned choice, that gives us the power to act instead of just being acted upon.
Okay, so once we learn to see the world clearly, it's time to actually do something. And that brings us to our second tool, the discipline of action. This is all about translating that internal clarity into purposeful external action. It's about what we do. And this quote, it just gets right to the heart of it. Stoicism doesn't have a uniform. As the teacher Musonius Rufus says, it's not about what you wear, it's not about what you own. The only way you can recognize a Stoic is by their character and by their actions.
So what does right action actually look like? Well, it's guided by these four cardinal virtues. There's justice, which is all about how we treat other people. Self-control, which is mastering our own impulses. Wisdom, knowing the right path. And finally, courage, having the strength to walk that path, especially when it gets hard. These are the pillars that support a life of real purpose.
And that brings us to the final piece of our toolkit. We've mastered our perception, we're taking the right actions, but life is still going to throw curveballs at us, right? The discipline of will is all about how we endure, how we accept, and maybe even how we find meaning in hardship.
Now, this is a pretty radical idea. Amor fati, which means a love of fate. I mean, it's one thing to just tolerate what happens, to put up with it. But it's another thing entirely to embrace it, to see everything, the good and the bad, as part of your story and to love it for what it is.
To see this in action, really in action, look at James Stockdale. He was a fighter pilot, shot down over Vietnam. He spent 7.5 years as a prisoner of war, facing just unimaginable torture and isolation. The moment his plane was hit, he actually told himself he was entering the world of Epictetus. And listen to this stunning observation he made. He said it wasn't the pessimists who broke in the camps, it was the optimists. The ones who kept saying, "We're going to be out by Christmas." And then Christmas would come and go, and their hope would shatter them. They died of a broken heart. Stockdale, on the other hand, survived by accepting the brutal reality of his situation and focusing only on what he could control, his own will to resist.
This is exactly what the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius meant. You know, life isn't always some graceful dance where everything just flows perfectly. A lot of the time, it's more like a wrestling match. You have to be prepared to get hit, to grapple with unexpected challenges, and to just fight to stay on your feet.
So, how do we put all this into practice? Let's try to distill these three disciplines into a simple, actionable toolkit that you can start using, well, today.
Here it is, your Stoic toolkit. First, perception. Focus only on what's in your control. Second, action. Let your character be your guide in everything you do. Third, will. Learn to accept and even love whatever happens. And the final, most crucial piece, practice.
This isn't a theory, it's a daily commitment made up of small steps.
And that last point about practice is absolutely key. As Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, said, this whole thing isn't about one big, grand gesture. It's about the small choices, the daily habits, the consistent effort. And believe me, those small steps, they add up to something that is truly no small thing at all.
So we'll end with a challenge from a Roman emperor. It's a reminder that the time to practice all this is right now. The choice to be a good person, to live a good life, it's not for tomorrow, it's for this very moment. The question Marcus Aurelius asked himself 2,000 years ago is the very same one we face today. What will you choose?